want to congratulate Coach Walseth, Coach Kish. I think there was 5 home contests last week, and when Bison went 5-0, it was great. In particular with Marn and her staff, I know it can be really tough to hold a group together like that, but they've gained tremendous amount of confidence, and you can see that when they're going out and playing and executing and just having fun. It's fun to watch. Congratulations, Coach. Obviously, certainly we're extremely excited to be 3-0 in the league, sitting atop the league, and we've taken care of business most certainly. But probably the most encouraging thing is there's so much room for growth, and I think that biggest area is us getting better rebounding the basketball defensively, and something that has been, always will be a priority in the past, has been a staple of who we are, but right now we're -4 in the rebound margin in league. And to give up 22 offensive rebounds, especially at home, is unexceptional. And obviously IUPUI is a talented team, and I don't want to take anything away from them. But for us to do that is not going to win us many games, especially when you go on the road, which we're going to do here this week against 2 really good teams. And we'll have our hands full, but excited for the opportunities, and I'll take questions. No questions?
Coach, what's the challenge that South Dakota brings and what Craig has been able to do with that program the last couple of years?
I mean, you can see, you go back and watch the game from last year, and they've got 5 new starters or 5 new guys playing a lot. Obviously, I think the Flack kid, a senior, some experience and brought some toughness to them. They've done a tremendous job, and they got their kids playing well. They got what I would expect to be a great environment in their new arena with the students back, but we're excited for the opportunity. Make no mistake about it.
High scoring now, and you've proved that you can slug them out. What's the value in being able to do both of those things?
Well, especially hopefully there's some value, because when you go on the road, you certainly expect the unexpected, and there's a new environment. There's a little bit of your routine from a home game is off, and we've got to be able to control what we can control. And that's, again, has been and most certainly needs to be, as in the past, defending, rebounding, and taking care of the ball. We're starting to, I think we're under 10 now turnovers per game, which is a significant improvement. Excuse me. Defensively, I think our numbers are very good as far as, when we're able to play defense 5-on-5, we're 38%. We're holding our opponents to. But that wild card, that random outlier right now is the rebounds that we're giving up. And if we can clean those things up, it's even more encouraging.
South Dakota was picked 7th in the league. They're 3-1. They've only lost 1 game by 1 point. What do you think maybe wasn't seen about them earlier in the year? Why do you think they're exceeding expectations?
Well, I think preseason rankings, I get it. I mean, they're an exciting thing, but they are just that. They're preseason rankings. And Trey Dickerson, Mooney, Carlton Hurst, all those kids sat out last year. So you had I think we had a little bit of a pulse because, we knew some of those kids, coming in. But the rest of the league, some of the people that voted for that, how much did they actually know what was going on internally? I think you've seen some of their freshmen come in and make an impact. And so, again, I'm not discounting, preseason rankings, and I think those are great for a lot of reasons. But in the here and now, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think they mean a whole bunch.
Your squad, a kid like Dylan Miller is starting at this point, maybe not making the impact on the box score as far as points, rebounds, things like that. How do you track a kid like that? How do you track his progress?
I think 3-0 is how you track it, to be honest with you. You look at it, we've 3-0 in league play. We've won 5 out of 6, and I think that's the biggest thing. I think you lean on history a little bit. Why are we bringing Dexter off the bench? That keeps a question that keeps coming up. I go back to, my first year as a head coach, his first year of really extended minutes, he comes off the bench, and it was just a good role. It was a good fit. I'm certainly Spencer Eliason's a guy that's, banging on the door. He brings great energy, great attitude, great effort. But Dylan, for whatever reasons, has given us those opportunities to be successful. I think he's a big kid. He's got a presence defensively. He's got good hands and understands the spacing and spots on the floor offensively. And excited because I think as good as things are going with dealing with all of our guys, we can continue to keep getting better.
Road games this season as you did last year. With 2 road games coming up this week, are you changing your approach at all in order to have a little bit more success this season?
No, I mean we've stressed it from the start. We've done some things in a lot of different ways just from a mindset, and hopefully that carries over. I don't just because we won the one, maybe we're going to go lose the next 7. But obviously, our mindset has changed. We need to go in there with a toughness mindset. Maybe you're not going to always shoot the basketball very well, but we've got to play tough. We've got to play hard. We've got to do the things that we can control: defending, rebounding, and taking care of the ball.
Ward was a late signing, right?
Yeah, Tyson was a late signing.
Right after Corey Brown, in LA, those kind of guys.
Obviously it's early. It's very early to say, but I've from the start have not hid behind it. I think Tyson is a very talented individual. He looks the basketball player, long, smooth lefty like that. He's capable. His percentages don't show it, but he shot it at a high level. You can go back to like yesterday's practice. I think he shoots it very, very well. You saw some explosiveness, from the game with the tip dunk the other night, and he's got a world of potential. And I think the biggest thing for him is keeping his attitude and all those little things. Sometimes, like you'd expect from a freshman, he's his hardest critic, and that's great in a sense. But you've got to be able to move on from your mistakes as well. And he's made big strides with that after Christmas.
3 of them pretty solidly in the rotation. Is this about as hard as you've leaned on freshmen in your time here?
Yeah, and we've talked about that, absolutely. And that's why, in a sense, it's crazy, but when you go back and work the numbers, we're as young as we've been since I've been in the head coach here, and from an experience standpoint. But again, those are just excuses, and certainly it's also encouraging because, I think Tyson probably played one of, if not his best games, the other night. You know what you're getting from Jared, no matter what the minutes are, what the situation is, and again, you can starting to see Dang a little bit here and there, figure some of those things out, and it's also my job as the head coach to put him in some better situations to be successful, and I think we can all do those things.
Waiting for something, Was he waiting, or why was he available?
He's a kid, and he'll crush me for doing this. But you go back and look at some of his pictures when he was a young kid, and he was a chubby, baby-faced kid, and he really blossomed late. And but he played in some very competitive games and in very competitive leagues, and guys that he had a teammate that signed with UConn. He played against a kid that had all kinds of offers and was very productive again. So we don't necessarily dive into who's recruiting you or this and that. It's about a fit, and Coach Olson and I went down there after our Denver game last year and just kind of put it all out there in front of him, and he was a guy you never know. But when you get a kid from Tampa coming to Florida, but he's come in and he's been excited about it, and he's embraced our culture, and I think he's really starting to figure some things out, hopefully, and now the next step is being consistent with it.
Spencer Elias and anybody else that maybe we're not seeing on game day that's really showing a lot in practice, Cameron Hunter, something like that?
Yeah, Cameron Hunter, again, obviously for obvious reasons, we don't talk about him a whole bunch, and Cam's are another one. Like at the very end of the day, what's made us successful is our culture, and I think our culture is also very tough. We sell it to you as 2 things. It's going to be the hardest thing you've ever done in your life and the most fun you've ever had in your life. And I think there was certainly an adjustment period for Cameron in particular. The demands that we, hold our kids to, the accountability that we have with things in the classroom and with, how to carry yourself, and then on the court from a toughness standpoint. And Cam struggled with those, in a lot of ways, big time. And it was about 2 or 3 weeks before Christmas, and you could kind of see, all right, these guys aren't here to be, they're just here to make me better. And he finished up terrific in the classroom, well over a 3.0, and he's making some strides. He's done a lot of work with Coach Beasley on our off days, and I think, again, hopefully sooner than later, rounding into next year, you're going to see some big things from Cameron.
What's the biggest adjustment your team has made from the first half to the second half?
I think we're not turning the ball over. And then I talked to Marn about it. As much as it is about us, it's also about league play. And league play, make no mistake, it's the toughest part of your season, but also there becomes a little bit of structure and routine to it. You're not going to the East Coast to play a press team. Then you're not going down south to play a team that plays all zone a little bit. You're playing a little bit more like-minded, peer-like teams that you can kind of, get into. The kids, they're aware. They've played AAU against some of these kids. And so there becomes a little bit better, more of a structure, a routine into your daily habits. And I think that goes into it too. But also, I maybe it's something I need to reflect on too. We haven't started, unbelievable. And, but I don't mind that either in a sense where as you go through a little bit, those first 10 or so games, it's about defining roles. I need to see some things when the lights are on. I don't think there's so many, there's only so many things you can define back there in a practice gym. It's different when the lights come on. So, we've cleaned up and defined some roles a little bit, but, that's me stressing it to our guys. What's really encouraging is our guys executing that and understanding that.
Sorry, my question wasn't perfectly clear. I more meant the first half to second half in specific games. You guys have come out in the second half.
I wish I could help you out with that. I think again it goes back to an adjustments. Our team, sometimes we've come out and been on our heels a little bit and waited to see what teams are doing to us instead of going out and dictating to them, which is certainly something that we've talked about. But it's also something that we've stressed to our guys too, that at some point those 4 or 5 minutes to start a game or to start a second half, they're going to cost you, especially when you go on the road. So if I had a great answer for you, it wouldn't be happening. But I don't. But it's something that we're obviously aware of and working towards. And I think that really sends a message, how you come out in the first 5 minutes, in particular the first 5 minutes of the second half.
How much of those last 8 minutes is Jason Miller?
No question. Absolutely. And we talk about it in the huddle. It's Jason Miller time, and the way the NCAA sets things up and with what he does, they spend more time, one-on-one with him in the spring, summer, and fall than they do with us. And as much as that's getting bigger, faster, and stronger, a lot of that's a mindset. He pushes you to a breaking point where you think you can't do anymore, and then he gets you to do 1, 2 more. Well, that's just it. We and he does. They have finish lines. We don't just stop at the finish line. We run through it, and I think that's a big mindset and a toughness part of it. And I think you can see that throughout the culture of NDSU athletics. When is Bison football good? Late in the third quarter, fourth quarter, when they're pounding you. I really truly believe that in the weight room. Again, that place, I know we talk about it, but the toughness and mindset that they instill in our kids physically and mentally can't be overstated.
New building in Vermillion. What do you expect from the environment down there?
I've heard good things about it. Some of our administration's been down there and see it. I know the Sanford people were behind it, so they're not going to put their name on something that doesn't reflect very well. And you look at it now; it's conference play. It's the Wednesday after school starts. I expect a big time environment. We're going to be obviously the top team in the league right now, and so everybody. But that's what you want. I mean, a little bit of a target on your back and. You want to get everybody's best shot, and I certainly think we're going to get USD's on Wednesday and Denver's on Saturday.
Go ahead. AJ cracked 20 points for you for the first time against IUPUI. Seems to be playing a little more consistently. He's been staying on the floor a little bit more, avoiding those ticky-tack fouls early. What have you been working with him on to try to keep him on the floor so he can be a viable second or third scoring option for you? Yeah,
it's crazy, but we've had – I think 6 guys already score 18 plus, and now to get AJ more consistent. I again, you talk about AJ this, that. He's a kid that I have very few worries about. His daily approach, his mindset. Nobody's harder on himself than AJ, and sometimes that's counterproductive a little bit. But he's worked hard. His lift on a shot looks as good as it's been. But I think that's a big part of understanding how valuable he is to us on both ends of the court, and not some of his fouls are just ticky tack, stupid ones. Where you come down, you're boxed out, you go over the back, or you swing your arm down. Whether you got a whole bunch of the ball or the arm or whatever, those are going to get called. And he's starting to hopefully understand those because he's obviously a valuable piece, and we're better with him on the floor.